Portugal. Even the name sounds mysterious, like a promise of sunny beaches, old cities, and a culture full of history. Landing in Lisbon, I felt super excited. The air was warm and smelled like the ocean and something sweet, like flowers. Stepping off the plane, I knew this trip would be amazing. It wasn't just a trip, it was a real adventure. The city felt alive, like a quiet hum you could almost hear. As I went to my hotel, Lisbon started to show its magic. Buildings painted in bright yellows, oranges, and blues lined the streets. The trams made a cool clicking sound as they went by, mixing with the sound of people talking in Portuguese. This was Lisbon, a city where old and new things fit together perfectly. Lisbon is a city best explored by walking. I started in Alfama, the oldest and most interesting part of the city. Narrow cobblestone streets too small for cars went up the hill. The smell of fresh bread came from small bakeries. People chatted, their voices bouncing off the old buildings. High above Alfama was São Jorge Castle, its old walls holding tons of stories. The view from the top was amazing. I could see the whole city, the Tagus River, and the Atlantic Ocean. I could almost imagine the people who lived there long ago, like the Moors and the Romans. As it got dark, I went to a small cozy restaurant in Alfama. This was the home of Fado, Portugal's special music. The sad, powerful song seemed to tell the story of Lisbon, a mix of sadness and happiness, old and new. A short train ride from Lisbon is Sintra, a town that looks like it's from a fairy tale. Sintra is in the green hills and has fancy palaces, mysterious gardens, and feels magical. My first stop was Pina Palace, a colorful building on top of a hill. This old monastery turned into a palace is a beautiful piece of architecture. Walking through its rooms and towers, I felt like I was in a kid's dream. Quinta da Regalera was just as cool, with hidden caves, tunnels, and strange symbols. It was a place to get lost and let your imagination go wild. Every path led to something new and mysterious. Porto, Portugal's second biggest city, was my next stop. It's famous for its port wine. Porto is on the Douro River and has steep hills, big bridges, and a mix of old and new. You can't go to Porto without visiting a port wine cellar. The air inside smelled like grapes and old wood. I tried some ruby port and learned about how it's made. Later I walked along the Ribeira, the old part of the city by the river. Colorful houses with pretty tiles lined the riverbank. The Dom Luís I Bridge, a huge iron bridge, was high above. From Lisbon and Porto I went south to the Algarve, Portugal's famous coast. The Algarve is like paradise with golden beaches, big cliffs, and blue water. It's a place to relax and enjoy the sun. I spent my days finding hidden beaches, swimming and laying in the sun. The beaches are all different. There are long sandy beaches like Praia de Rocha and small hidden beaches in Lagos. As the sun went down I would watch the sunset. The sky turned orange, pink, and purple. It was the perfect ending to a perfect day. My trip to Portugal wasn't just about seeing beautiful places, it was about the food too. From the fresh seafood to the warm stews, Portuguese food is as interesting as the country itself. In Lisbon, I ate fresh grilled sardines with lemon. In Porto, I had tripas à moda do Porto, a stew with tripe, beans and sausage. And of course I had pastel de nata, those little custard tarts. Every meal was a celebration of fresh food. More than the beautiful places and food, it was the people that made Portugal special. They were kind and friendly. Whether I was walking in Lisbon, drinking port wine in Porto, or just asking for directions, people were always happy to help. They really wanted to share their culture with me. The music was great too. From the fado music in Lisbon to the folk music in the north, Portuguese music is full of feeling. It tells stories and makes you want to dance. Leaving Portugal made me a little sad, but I was thankful for everything I saw, the people I met, and the memories I made. Portugal was even better than I thought it would be. It's a country where old and new things are mixed together, where beautiful nature and charming towns are side by side, and where the people are as wonderful as the country itself. As I flew away, I knew I would come back. Portugal, you were magical. I can still almost hear the fado music. I can almost smell the sardines and pastel de nata, and I'll always remember the kind people. My trip through your streets, beaches, and castles makes me want to come back. I will return someday. Until next time, Portugal 8 logo.